and I are back to discuss the impacts of the unforeseen wounds of domestic violence. We'll be shedding light on the silent traumas and emotional scars caused by domestic abuse. Julia, how can you identify if you're in a healthy or an unhealthy relationship?
Being a jerk and being in an unhealthy relationship dynamic is not necessarily the same thing as being in an abusive relationship. For me, the hallmark of an abusive relationship is really that there is intention there on the part of the perpetrator to exert power and control over a survivor. And again, as we said, in ways big and small.
Maybe something like, I really didn't enjoy the lasagna you made for dinner, as opposed to, that was terrible. I asked you to make chicken. You didn't listen to me. There's a big difference between just generally being a jerk and not liking my lasagna and, someone who's a jerk about it and it feels more abusive. There's ways that you can say things that are unkind and jerky, and there's ways you can say things that are abusive and belittling.
Exactly. One of the main reasons why we're here together is to emphasize that if you're feeling confused, if you're feeling unsure, certainly if you're feeling unsafe, know that there are spaces where you can get support to have these kinds of conversations to really suss out, what is it that I'm experiencing? How bad is this? Where else can I go for resources? And what does that look like?
I think it's such an important point, especially because I think what a lot of people are going to learn from our series is that there are different types of abuse. That's really important. But also what I keep hearing is how it makes you feel. And if you feel like you don't know if this is abuse or not, it sort of seems like it's the best thing to get help and talk to somebody and figure out those feelings. What role do children play in domestic violence situations, and how can that be supported?
Rates of domestic violence skyrocket during and around times of family planning, pregnancy, and postpartum. Having worked in hospital settings for many, many years before going into full-time private practice, I can attest to this. The amount of phone calls that we would receive to respond to domestic violence disclosures or incidents on labor and delivery and postpartum floors compared to other types of in-house hospital floors is really staggering. Oftentimes, people who are experiencing domestic violence do not want to disclose the abuse that they're experiencing for fear that their kids are going to be taken from them. As a social worker by background, as a therapist, I can tell everybody out there that my stance on domestic violence narratives when there are children involved is I need more information, right? When somebody discloses domestic violence to me, and also if they make me aware of, or I already know that there are children involved, calling the authorities is not my first step.
I think it's good information to have. I know that a lot of people reach out to us and say, I'm nervous. I don't want my children being taken away. People are scared. And I think it's very reassuring to hear that when you do go to a therapist, the first thing they're going to do is not call the authorities. I don't think that speaking to someone that there's bad intentions, that the intentions are, oh my God, I have to get these kids out of this house and I have to help and I have to save. I think it's really getting down to the bottom of what's going on and how they can best help your situation. What should somebody do if they suspect a friend is in an abusive relationship?
When you know or you suspect that somebody is experiencing domestic violence, I think it's all about making sure that people know that you're there to support them. You may not be a domestic violence expert. You don't need to be, right? But maybe you've seen this video. Maybe you've heard this information elsewhere. You can simply say to somebody, I don't know everything there is to know about what you may be experiencing, but I care for you and I'm here for you and I believe what you're saying you're experiencing. And if I can help you, that's what I'm here to do.
It's important to remember that nobody is ever truly alone in this struggle, which we just heard about. Know that there are plenty of resources available to you or to a friend if you're ever in need. Make sure to join us next week while we discuss the healing and recovery process.